Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 8 of the Pseudo Ludo video game podcast. So I'm joined here by Brian and Nick, and we're going to start up with a new mini game to begin with as a warm-up. And you guys are going to like this one. I came up with it on the fly today. It's called...
There's no way I'm going to like this.
It's called, Is This a Pokemon or a K-Pop Group?
Oh, Christ.
I'm all the way out on this. Big out.
Really? Are you really?
First big out game of the year.
That
Nah, I think
I think it's going to be funny too. We can do trivia if you want to be a boring little,
Nah, we'll do trivia next week.
All right. So, is it a Pokemon or a K-pop group? I'm going to name 8 different names, and you have to tell me whether you think it's a Pokemon or a K-pop band. So, we're going to start off here. Tranquil. So, both of you give your guess, and I'll keep score, and we'll find out who wins.
Pokemon.
Tranquil. Nick says it's a Pokemon. Brian?
It's tough to not just go with him because I know he knows a lot more about Pokemon than I do. But I'm going to say K-pop band.
Okay. And, okay, yeah, cool. Minx.
Ooh,
Minx.
I'm going to go Pokemon.
I'm going to say K-pop. Isn't Jinx the Pokemon?
Yeah, I mean, these could be the new generations that I'm not familiar with.
I definitely went with ones that I didn't think either of you would know.
Oh,
handily.
you mean Pikachu's not on here?
No, that's a K-pop group.
Psyduck.
Solosis.
That's a Pokemon.
K-pop.
Brian says Pokemon.
I hope I get none of these right.
All right, up next, Delmise.
How do you spell that?
Dhel.
You can't read it. It's in Korean.
Mise.
I'm going to go K-pop.
Country of origin.
Kanto?
Use it in a sentence.
The Delmise.
Yeah,
I saw Delmise
I'm saying
yesterday.
K-pop there also.
All right. So Brian says, Nick, what was your vote?
K-pop.
Okay. Oh, you said K-pop. Okay, cool. And next up, we have Victon.
That's got to be a Pokemon, bro. No
Pokemon.
fucking chance. Victon?
Yeah. All right. Both of you are in for Pokemon. And let's see. Up next, Lunafly.
That's K-pop.
Lunafly. That is a K-pop, according to Brian.
I'm going to go Pokemon.
Nick's going with Pokemon. Up next, Audino.
Pokemon.
Brian says Pokemon.
K-pop.
Nick says K-pop. Final one, Meloetta.
Pokemon.
Brian says Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Nick says Pokemon. So we have Tranquil. Nick says that's a Pokemon. Brian says it's K-pop. It is a Pokemon.
Damn it.
Minx. Brian says it is K-pop, and Nick said it's a Pokemon. It is K-pop.
Yeah.
Solosis.
I'm a Minx stan now.
Nick says that's K-pop, and Brian says it's Pokemon. It is a Pokemon.
Yo. KO'd Nick. Night.
Delmise, you both said it was a K-pop group, and it is a Pokemon.
What does it look like?
I don't remember anymore.
It looks like a K-pop.
It was like
group,
it was like a weird. I think it was like a Gen 7 or something.
Gen
I don't know.
Z.
I don't remember. Victon, you both said it was Pokemon, and it is a K-pop.
Damn.
There's a Pokemon named Victini. Brian has 2 points, and Nick has 1.
Yeah, get fucked.
Lunafly. Nick said that's a Pokemon. Brian said it is a K-pop group, and it is a K-pop group.
Yo, I know my stuff. Mr. Music.
Audino. Did you actually know that band?
It sounded
pretty
familiar, but I
Okay.
wasn't like, I didn't know. It just was an instinct. It sounded right.
Audino. Brian said Pokemon. Nick said K-pop, and it is a Pokemon.
Yo.
Yeah.
I like this
Nick.
game, Murph. I'm a natural.
Meloetta. You both said it was a Pokemon, and it is a Pokemon.
Yeah. Wow, I won by I won a lot of money, right? Is that what the deal was? Nick has to give me $5,000.
I really have to play these newer gens of Pokemon. I'm out of it.
No.
I'm old.
Bro, I haven't played one in 10 years until today.
Yeah, you have been playing Sword. You've been playing Sword.
Yeah, but I have not encountered any of the whatever those monstrosities that were discussed earlier were.
Yeah, I only picked. I I only picked Pokemon mostly from Gen 5, 6, and 7 because I knew he played
Wait, what are they
Sword
on
and
now?
Sword is Gen 8. I think there might be one Gen 8, but it was at the very end, and I know you didn't beat it.
Props to you, Tim. That was a good game. I'm big in on that.
Hey,
I like how you were vehemently against it at first.
Yeah.
He was completely out.
But he can edit that out clean.
He was always supporting it. Yeah, so Brian, you had 5 out of 8 points, so more than half, which is kind of impressive. Nick had 2 out of 8.
So that's $5,000 that Nick owes me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And with that, we are going to move into our second segment, which is what we've been playing for this week. So why don't you start it off, Brian, since you won?
I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have played a few sessions of Call of Duty Warzone. I beat BioShock again for our deep dive discussion coming soon.
Sweet.
And then played a little bit of Pokemon.
Cool.
Which I got this week. I have not played it previously. I haven't played one since Black and White. One of the DS ones.
I remember we played that one, and then yeah.
That's the last one I've played. And I just had a hankering for like I wanted the JRPG on my Switch, party based, turn based. And I just figured, I haven't played one of these in forever. I'm not as picky and particular. I'm not as much of a Pokemon fan to get mad at some of the decisions made. So I figured, why not? I'm a casual.
Right.
So yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
I've had some fun with it. It's just Pokemon. It's the same type of thing where like if I was a fan, I feel like I probably would not be, about it. But being that it's been like probably close to 10 years since I've played one in any capacity, it's fun.
It was 2010 when Black and White came out, so it has been 10 years.
Yeah, there we go. Full circle.
I haven't played one since Diamond and Pearl.
Crazy.
Yeah, but you guys like actively would play the old ones in between.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't even played one in any capacity since then.
Right.
I've definitely replayed Sapphire and Fire Red multiple times since I've played Diamond and Pearl.
Those are my two favorite.
And I've been playing Heart Gold.
I've played every gen except for the newest one. I've only beat Gen 1 through 5, though. I think. Yeah.
Maybe it's a good goal for me is to go through all the gens.
Yeah. Good time. I do want to catch them all at some point. It's going to be a long-term project, but that is eventually my goal. I already caught the original 150.
So you can pay $10 a month to Nintendo to store them and not be able to do anything with them?
Yeah. That sounds like fun. Yeah.
Tim, what have you been playing?
So this week I've been playing the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Didn't beat it yet. Still going. Still love it. Awesome game. I've been playing Pokemon Diamond. Nick and I are doing a Nuzlocke run of that, which is a brief introduction. That's kind of like a hardcore challenge mode where if a Pokemon dies, you have to release it, and you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on every route. Nick, how do you like that? Have you started yours yet?
I haven't been able to start yet because my girlfriend is still using my DS to play her version of Animal Crossing. So, I let her have it.
Oh, she took the DS with her.
Well, she's here at my house, but she's using the DS.
I see. Okay.
I played a little bit of BioShock, but every time I tried to play, about an hour in, the game would freeze and I would have to start over. So I had to delete it off my PlayStation and re-download it, and I haven't played it since. So I will hope that works so I can get it done for the deep dive episode we're going to do. I bought the full game of Call of Duty Modern Warfare so I could play the online with our friends. Brian and I played a little bit of Gunfight. That was a lot of fun. We had an intense battle with Tony Stark.
Gunfight's awesome. Love Gunfight. I think I like that more than Blackout, actually.
Then Blackout?
Or then whatever it's called. Warzone.
Wow, Nick, you really have an affinity for Blackout, huh? Jesus Christ.
It was a great time.
He really does.
And some Animal Crossing.
Oh, I haven't played that at all. I totally fell off that. Nook is going to come for my head.
Also, I've been playing Link's Awakening. I'm almost done with that.
Sweet. Yeah, I've been playing Animal Crossing too.
All right, let's get into the news. Tim?
All right, so first up, the Super Mario Maker 2 got a world update, which adds the ability to actually make pretty much a full game now, as opposed to just disjointed levels. You can now make up to 8 worlds with 5 levels each, and it looks really fun. Nick and I both played this game when it came out in the summer. So, Nick, do you think you would return to this to kind of see what actual games people could make? Because I think that would be a pretty fun, potential thing.
I think I'm definitely gonna go back and see how they set it up so you can play other people's worlds. I don't really have any interest in making a world because I think I've only made like 3 levels. I'd had more fun just playing it instead of trying to make a level. So to try to come up with a whole world, I think would just be a little tedious for me.
Yeah, that was something that should have been in it right from the get-go in my mind, because that's how you really get to see some cool designs, like a world themed around this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to see what people come up with, something really creative.
It also sucks that this is the last update for Super Mario Maker 2. I feel like this game should definitely be more of a game as a service type of thing with continual updates for a long time, not just after a year be done with it.
Yeah, you would think so. And any other company would definitely run it that way because it's an online, it's a user-generated content game. So if you stop updating it, people are going to slowly begin to leave. And, that's just kind of a classic Nintendo thing, which I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, then they'll make Super Mario Maker 3D.
With none of the features,
No.
and they'll just add all the features back again. Slowly, yeah. But yeah, no, I am excited to see what people come up with. There's probably going to be a few good fan-made games in there that'll actually be worth playing in a few months. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Just some minor news about a game that we've both enjoyed. So next up on the news, over 12.3 million concurrent players joined Fortnite to watch a live Travis Scott concert.
It's lit.
Nick, I know you attended that performance. By the way, this is the highest concurrent player base for the game.
That's insane.
So, Nick,
that's so weird.
Yeah, years after it came out, it's insane.
Shout out to Travis Scott though. Good
Yeah.
guy. Seen him in concert 3 times.
Nick's seen him 4 times.
Yeah, I've seen him 4 times. We're counting the Fortnite one.
Oh, yo.
I know Brian and I are both huge Travis Scott fans. Tim, I don't know about you, what your personal preferences are.
Yeah, I like Travis Scott. Yeah.
But have you seen him 3 times in concert?
I like the gif of him with the fires running, like moving the thing around as much as I like him as an artist.
That's an emo now, Brian. But I thought this was a little corny, like hearing about it. But I was bored, and our friend just got his PS4, and Fortnite was the only thing he had downloaded at the time. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll hop in and play with him. And we went into this, and it was actually really cool. All the effects and stuff that they had going on while there was a giant Travis Scott rapping at me and flying around the map, and it was really trippy. And they performed the new song, The Scots, featuring Kid Cudi. Or I don't know if they're a group, so I don't know if that's featuring.
Yeah, they're a group now.
Okay, so sick. It's The Scots by The Scots, which is a new song. So that was pretty cool. I thought it was, a well done event.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of positive feedback about it, which is funny.
I think it's interesting just as kind of a hint of what the future of this kind of technology could be, where you have, VR concerts that people actually pay to attend and stuff. I could definitely see something like that happening.
That's definitely going to be the future of like sporting events and concerts.
Yeah.
VR stuff. That's definitely probably the biggest use for VR in the future, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. If you could charge $30 for, courtside seats at a basketball game or something like that, like you could sell that to millions of people at once.
Yeah.
Way more than just, ticket sales for an actual stadium.
It's also just like surprisingly immersive. Like I remember 2016 it must have been, for Childish Gambino's album Awaken My Love, he did a aesthetically expensive concert in like New Zealand or something, and didn't let anybody bring their phones in, but you could use your phone as like a VR thing and like watch one of the songs. And I did it, and I didn't even have a headset. I just had my phone, and even that was like really cool. So I think that it will be a rather significant like inclusion in this whole entertainment sphere, like you're saying, and whether it be actual concerts or something like this where it's like an animated aesthetic thing versus an actual physical concert that you could be in person. But that would I feel like it would make the prices of actual tickets way more.
I think the people that still want to go to the concerts in person are going to do that regardless.
Yeah.
Like,
it just opens up a way to even if you charge $5 for entrance, like now that's millions of people who never would have come to see you live in Boston or whatever. Now they're paying you. It's like, it's a really good idea.
I would definitely
for sure. And yeah, I would too. Especially with like the virus and everything going on right now, this is a great time to foster that and test that out, since so many people are at home looking for something to do and you can't really go anywhere. I could see a lot more of these cropping up very soon.
It's cool that it was like new music also, not just like a set list of free, like that they used it to premiere a new song. That's pretty cool. And the song was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Kid Cudi also.
I guess if you want to get, technical, this is probably the largest concert attendance of all time.
I don't think so. There's one that's like, probably. But there's one that's like very surprisingly big. There were millions of people at. I forget. Let me look it up.
While Brian looks that up, Tim, why don't you get into the next biggest piece of news that just came out today?
All right. So the new release dates have come out for The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. And this was released on the PlayStation blog earlier today. So The Last of Us Part 2 will now be arriving on June 19th, and Ghost of Tsushima will be coming on July 17th, so about a month apart from each other. The Last of Us had previously been delayed multiple times and was delayed indefinitely until now. So what do you guys think of this?
I think this is a direct response to the huge leaks that came out yesterday and today.
Yeah, for sure.
They need to just get that game out there, so they're gonna pop it out soon.
I think they kind of also just want to flood the news with, positive stuff and try to bury the leaks. Give people something to talk about that isn't just the leak. But yeah, hopefully everyone can avoid those leaks out there.
But so hold on, going back to the concert thing. You're right that it is the biggest, but this is the one I was thinking of. Rod Stewart in 1994, New Year's Eve in Rio de Janeiro had an attendance greater than 3.5 million. Like, that's nuts.
That's pretty impressive.
That's
at Copacabana Beach. Does he sing Copacabana? I would imagine.
No, it's like Barry Manilow, I think.
Well, regardless. Either way, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, that is nuts. I don't even know. I don't even know the logistics of that, but wow.
But yeah, Last of Us is going to be amazing. I can't wait to play it, and I'm glad that there's a date, but I'm terrified to navigate the internet for the next month and a half because this is the sequel to my favorite game of all time, and I don't want to get it spoiled for me. And from what I've heard, it's very significant spoilers. It's not just like it will almost ruin the game from what I've seen. So that's fun. And it's apparently a disgruntled employee, which is super fucked up and super stupid because you're not going to get hired anywhere if they find out it was you. You know what I mean? This is one of the most high-profile games of all time, and you're going to spoil it over a dispute. Not a good look. Yeah,
there's better ways to solve those kinds of problems, especially you're not just ruining your work, your boss's work. If you really want to get back at your boss, you're ruining kind of what hundreds of people, if not thousands, have been working on for years. So
and what millions of people waited years to consume. There's so many people that are just not like it's an actual. I mean, it probably is a crime, but you know what I mean. Not like it's like a violent act or anything, but still, it's obnoxious to do something like that to mar something that people really, really look forward to. And you know that all the assholes on the internet will start running with it and DMing it to people and posting it under stuff that like YouTube. I kind of want to just delete YouTube because that can be very deadly with spoilers. Like I am watching The Sopranos right now and got something spoiled for me off YouTube, and I never even watched a Sopranos video. I was like, I don't know how YouTube knows I'm watching The Sopranos, but in my suggested videos, it was like, this happens. So if that can happen, I would imagine something that people are actively trying to spoil for other people will probably come my way, but fingers crossed.
Yeah, for sure. I think, especially with thumbnails and YouTube, it's just so spoilery. But yeah, hopefully we all can avoid it. But that's it for the news this week. Not too much going on. Why don't we move into kind of our main topic for this week, which is DLC. Nick, why don't you take it away?
Well, speaking of The Last of Us, I know we were going to talk about what we kind of think is a good DLC, what makes a bad DLC. I guess I'll just kind of start by saying that the Left Behind DLC is probably one of the most iconic or memorable that I've played for The Last of Us. And I think it has a lot of the factors that I want in a DLC that makes what would make it what I consider good. It really
okay. Let's hear what you like in DLC. What makes a good DLC for you?
It isn't really directly tied to the main story, you know what I mean? But it really fleshes out the character. Because I know Ellie is a lesbian in Last of Us, and it's not really talked about too much. I mean,
it's not even referenced in the main game.
Are you sure there's not? Are you sure?
Like you would never.
There's subtle references to it.
Yeah, but
there are subtle references.
The creators clearly had it intended the whole time, but it's not openly addressed until the DLC. And I think that DLC radically reshapes the story as a whole and is essential to actually understanding those characters and everything. So I think it reshapes the entire game's narrative when you play that, because you see how important she is to Joel, or Joel is to her as much as when you're playing the main game, how important she is to Joel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
Yeah, it gives you a different perspective. Yeah, that's also on my list of one of my favorite DLCs that I've played.
Yeah, that was mine.
Let's walk it back. Just generally, what do you like to see in a DLC, and what do you not like to see in a DLC? Brian, how about you go? Like, just what elements make it, something you'd want to buy or play later on, and what doesn't really interest you?
So I would say it's twofold, and I think Left Behind is what I would use for my main interest in being an actual essential DLC, whereas you aren't getting the full story if you don't play that DLC. Versus something like the Batman Arkham DLCs, or even the Horizon DLC, where it's just kind of another adventure, you know what I mean? And I think I'm not particularly fond of DLCs in general, unless it's one of the two following things, which is one, something that is essential to understanding the whole narrative. It fleshes out the whole narrative of the original game, something left behind, or even the BioShock Infinite DLCs, I think, expand on that world and that narrative in a very significant way. Or something like the DLCs that you see in the Fallout games, or the Elder Scrolls, or the Dark Souls games, where it's just a significant expansion to the world as a whole. But what I don't like are just kind of padding things that seem like things that aren't adding anything beyond another quest. There's no new gameplay features, there's no new locations. You're just doing another thing, because those really seem like they could have been in the main game, or that they don't add anything to the story or to the world, and it's just a way for the developers to make some cheap money. So I think in general, just something that is expansive, whether it's to the world, the gameplay, or the narrative. Something that doesn't feel like a cheap, no, buy this if you like the game, but something that feels like essential to truly experiencing the game, both as a narrative and as a world, I guess.
Yeah. The way I see it is there's different tiers of DLC. There is like the buy this for basically a little bit more of the exact same content that you've already had. And I picture that as kind of like a Spider-Man DLC. I played all of those DLCs, and I mean, it's completely fine if you're just looking to play more Spider-Man, but there's nothing must play about it. It doesn't add any new mechanics. The new side modes it adds are not fun. They're just, new challenge modes and stuff. Overall, it's just more of the same thing and kind of stale, and wasn't really, it didn't add any new context to the game. It added a little bit of stuff, like a little good character moments, but nothing great. Then there's the next tier, which is something I like. I think the Skyrim DLCs those are some of my favorite DLCs, and those add complete new areas to Skyrim. On a similar note, I know The Witcher 3 has really great DLC that adds new areas to explore and entirely new storylines, and some people say those are even better than the main game. I'm looking forward to playing those, but I haven't played those yet. Specifically, there's a vampire one, which I really want to play, obviously. But yeah, I think the Skyrim DLC is some of my favorite, with the Dawnguard and Dragonborn DLC.
I didn't think about the Skyrim DLCs because when I didn't play the game when it came out in 2011. I got the remaster or remake, whatever you want to call it, for PS4, and that came with it. So to me, those were kind of just like in the game,
right?
But I did spend a ton of time doing the Dawnguard storylines, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
if you play it as just the complete edition or whatever, you wouldn't even notice because it's not like anything. It just feels so right. It just feels like a natural expansion of the game, and the quests tie in with other quests. It's super well done, and that leads into my favorite DLCs, where they take what was good about the game and go even a step further. And that would be in the case of the Dark Souls and Bloodborne DLCs and the Last of Us Left Behind and Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare.
I just thought of that.
And then one more that I can shout out, but I didn't play through. I messed around a little bit, but I didn't beat it, was the DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4, the Ballad of Gay Tony. Wow. The Ballad of Gay Tony and the Lost in the Damned, which are both very critically acclaimed games, and the stories
those are great.
They're held to be better than the main story of GTA. And it's cool to see developers return to something that they've clearly worked on and put a lot of love in, but that they're now masters of. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've had the practice of making the full game, and now they're like, okay, we're ready to take this a step further. I think that's best encapsulated in the Bloodborne DLC, where the level design and the enemies and the boss fights in that game, the best are in the DLC, because you can tell they just mastered the feel of combat, and they perfectly executed it in that DLC. I don't think either of you have played that, but it's great. Those are some of the best.
I played some of it, but not extensively.
Like the Lady Maria boss fight is like one of the best boss fights in the Souls series. Really cool. But yeah, overall, I just like seeing when the devs show that they've mastered it, and I think that justifies the DLC when they can actually take it a step further than the original game. Like Horizon, Spider-Man, those are just more of what you've already played. There's nothing in the Horizon or Spider-Man DLC, from what I've seen, that is like, oh, we've become masters of making this and designing this game. Like, here's us showing off our skills.
The common theme here seems to be that the DLC needs to be impactful, whether it be gameplay or narrative-wise, or else it's just kind of another...
Yeah, it needs to be additive and like implement new things or go further. It has to do one of the two things. So we talked a little bit about going further, I think, with Bloodborne and The Last of Us, and I guess The Last of Us also takes it in a new direction with that whole new perspective kind of on Ellie's backstory.
It also fills in the narrative. Like, there's a section of the story that is unexplained without that DLC, where she's like defending him and all that and patching him up when he falls on the pole.
Joel falls on the pole.
Like, I do think that you're not playing the full story without that, which is why I would rank it the best of any of the ones I've played, but I'm also not a big fan of DLC on average. Usually just because it's by the time DLC comes out, I'm on to a new game. But that was just one I obviously had to really give my full attention to because I loved Last of Us so much. And I think it's just as emotionally impactful, and the writing and everything is so good, just as good as the main game. Like, it just feels like a natural extension of what was in the original game versus just a return to just do one more thing and leave or whatever. And I think the Resident Evil 7, I did buy the season pass for that, and I think that was a very bad example of DLC where the stuff that was released is totally short and shallow, and like, while it's fun, it just did not add up to the price that it was sold for, and it doesn't add anything gameplay, world, or story wise. And I think those are the negative examples, just short and hollow.
Yeah, speaking of hollow, the Dark Souls 3 DLC, it recontextualizes everything. This, like, if the lore in that ending recontextualizes the entire point of Dark Souls 3, basically. And Bloodborne also does that with the Old Hunters DLC, where it gives you a lot more backstory on the major players like Gurman and Maria, who is the inspiration for the doll in that game. So those are really cool. Very similar to Left Behind from The Last of Us, where it recontextualizes the perspective of new characters in that in the DLC. So it definitely makes it justifies a return to it because it gives you something more. Like you said, when you've already moved on to other games, it's kind of hard to want to go back if it's just a few more challenges or a couple extra levels or something, if it doesn't give you a reason to go back.
Another negative DLC, in my opinion, is going to be the Smash Bros. Ultimate DLCs.
Ooh, hot take.
The extra,
I agree.
The additional fighters. It's not. I don't think it's one worth the price tag, and two, either the character choices are often criticized by the community for people not liking them, or people do like them because they are made too OP and then don't get nerfed because they're DLC characters and you paid money for them, like Joker or something.
Yeah, Bayonetta in Smash 4 was a big.
Yeah. So the 6 that came with Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think were disappointing because one who wants Byleth or whatever their name is, another Fire Emblem hero. There's more Fire Emblem characters than there are Mario characters.
Is that true?
Yeah, it is. I think so.
That's fucking insane.
Oh, what do you? Wait, the game that sold like 3 million copies cumulatively is not as good as Mario? No, I don't know if that's true. By the way, don't take that.
I've heard those games.
They're good, but there's a lot of games that are good that have no no representation in Smash.
And then you have a character like Terry, who is trying to change like the core of Smash. What the core of Smash Bros. Is. It's not a fighting like input combos type of game. It's like I don't want to say casual, but it is casual.
It's family friendly. Beginner friendly.
Yeah, it's family friendly.
It's like an entry level thing, but there's a lot once if you want to learn.
Yeah.
But Terry isn't the type of character that needs to be in the game. You already have like Ryu in there. He has some of those type of movesets if you wanted to play that kind of stuff.
I haven't really messed around with Terry, so I can't speak to that point. Yeah, there's some DLC characters that I like, but overall I agree it's generally not well implemented.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a good call.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you do have some like positive additions in that pack, at least, like Banjo and Kazooie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
like
that's God tier.
That is a good like Smash character.
Right.
Whether their meta ranking is good or not.
It seems like sorry.
Notwithstanding, but I'm sorry.
It seems like fighting games in general tend to do that fighter pass type thing where you buy a pack of fighters or you can buy them individually. Pretty much every modern fighting game seems to do that, so it must be pretty profitable. And I guess it can be, if you're developing it smartly, it can be a way to adjust the meta as needed, kind of how Overwatch with its free DLC adds in new characters to rebalance the meta and stuff. So it's cool. It can be done well, but
there's no reason Nintendo couldn't just have whatever the schedule is every 2 months. I don't know how often they release them. I don't remember. They couldn't just add one character for free, just like Overwatch has. Overwatch came on in 2016. That game still releasing new free characters all the time.
Nintendo doesn't sell
Smash doesn't have cosmetic microtransactions,
and I wouldn't want that. So that's why Overwatch does the free DLC is because and I do prefer the way Smash does it, generally speaking. I think.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the model. It's just the content that's in the model.
Yeah. I think it can be done right. It can be done poorly. Just depends on.
I think it just breed a lot of negativity when people pay for it, not knowing what their 5 or 6 fighters are going to be, and then they get.
I mean, you could.
Yeah, you could just wait till they're released.
But a lot of people are excited.
Well,
no, yeah.
But... that's like a common thing is in the fighting game DLC things, from what I know, like the Dragon Ball fighting game does that. I think Mortal Kombat did that too, where you can purchase it ahead of time without really. I mean, that's just season passes in general nowadays, which seems to be getting less common in favor of a battle pass in a lot of games. One more DLC I wanted to talk about a little bit more in depth was Undead Nightmare from Red Dead Redemption, which is definitely one of the most unique DLCs I've ever played because that actually pretty much changes the entire game into something new. It changes a Western into a apocalyptic zombie game. Brian, I know you've played this. Nick, have you played this?
No, I have not.
It's awesome. It might be my favorite DLC, at least in terms of just like memory of it. Like it was so fun because this also came out when The Walking Dead was really cool, and I was like watching The Walking Dead and then playing this. It was just a really fun time. So basically, it turns the whole map into a new mode where everything is destroyed by zombies, and you're basically one of the only humans left. There's also a lot of other cool mythical things added, like instead of taming regular horses, you catch the 4 horses of the apocalypse, which is really cool. And there's
Bigfoot thing.
Yeah, there's
Was
like
that in the main game?
I don't remember.
Bigfoot thing was really sad though.
Yeah, Bigfoot was awesome. A lot of cool stuff happening in that.
Yeah, that's another category I would say that I don't like. We don't see often.
Yeah,
but
definitely
is like kind of just almost like an alternate universe iteration of the game. Like I really do think the BioShock Infinite. I mean, I don't think it's as fun to play as the games, but in terms of story and aesthetic, the Infinite DLC where you go back to Rapture, and Elizabeth is like a totally different type of character. Those types of things are really fun. Of just spinning the original game on its head. Like Red Dead obviously is totally different than that. It's a pretty serious story, and they just made it a fun schlocky zombie thing for the DLC. I wish that there was more of that, but like not just a cheap one-off thing. Like it's a full game. Like they eventually sold it as another thing, Undead Nightmare.
Right.
Like you can buy it without buying Red Dead.
Right.
I wish they did it for Red Dead 2, man, or GTA 5.
Dude, the GTA 5 DLC that they hinted at before online became a smash hit was like aliens and stuff. It would have been so cool, like an alien invasion.
Yeah, it sucks that they don't do single player
Huge
DLC.
shame, because they were the kings of DLC. And apparently I was doing some like just Googling before this show about the DLCs. I guess the GTA 4 DLC sold pretty softly, so they're not going to do it if it doesn't make them money. Which,
that's a surprise.
That is a surprise, because those are some of the best DLCs of all time. Do you think that coincided maybe with the PS4 blackout? Because I think it was around the same time.
I mean PS3?
Or the PS3, yeah, the PSN outage.
Lizard Squad.
Probably. Yeah, that was around the same time, I think.
I remember playing it like after.
I think it was December 2008. Or no, when did Infamous come out? No, actually I think that was later, because Infamous was one of the free games, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So it had to be at least 2009 or 2010.
Okay.
But I think I had a PlayStation at that point, so I don't think it might have been even later. That's a tangent.
Yeah, but anyway, Rockstar made awesome DLC, and I really wish they would go back and do more, but obviously that's not their priority anymore. But yeah, I would love to see more games that recontextualize the game the way Undead Nightmare did. And it turned a semi-serious game into a dark comedy, which is really cool, a really cool tonal shift also. Yeah, I still am upset about missing out on the DLC for GTA 5. It would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Remember like the people like treasure hunting and stuff in the mountains, like all the clues about aliens and stuff.
Yeah, they have the paintings on the inside of that building at the top of the mountain.
Yeah, there was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, there's a ton.
There was like
aliens.
a whole hidden puzzle. It was like and then there was like an online thing, I think, too, as like a viral marketing. I don't know. And then obviously GTA Online blew up, and that's what they put all their resources into. Yeah, very dropped ball. That would have been super fun, because that game's amazing anyways. And to go even wackier, like, the hinted jetpack and all that stuff really would have made that game awesome. But, someday we'll find out about it. What if they did a alien thing in Red Dead 2 as DLC? They never would, unless it was part of an online thing. But what if it was cowboys and aliens?
That would be awesome.
That would be so
They're not
cool.
about the life anymore. They've hung up their hat and their boots. They're done.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I'd love to go back. I mean, I will go back to that game, but I'd love to go back to that game and have a new, like, weird fantasy style sci-fi version of it. But yeah. So I think we covered pretty much every DLC that we're big fans of. Nothing else comes to mind for me.
Nope.
Yeah, nothing over here. I think we covered it.
All right.
Nailed it.
So we can also record a $5.99 DLC episode for this and attach it.
It'll just be Brian explaining why Anthony Fantano is wrong for giving My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6.
Yeah, twice.
I can't get into that right now.
It's messed up, dude.
No, when he did it a second time, that was official. That I'll give him that.
That he re-reviewed it and gave the same score.
I was like, oh, he's definitely giving it a 10 now. And I watched the whole thing and was just like jaw dropped.
It has a weaker second half, of course.
I'd like some DLC for that album.
Yeah, well, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
All right, guys, I think that's it for today's episode. You can check us out on Twitter at PseudoLudoCast. You can check us out on YouTube. You can email us at pseudoludopodcast@gmail.com. Send us some threats. We don't care.
Send a pigeon.
You could send us a pigeon. It would get lost, though, because I'm hoping no one has our address.
You never know. You never know.
You don't.
If you bought the Nick's address DLC for $2.99.
I mean, if I got some profits out of that, I don't think I'd mind.
Yeah, how much would you sell your address like online for per purchase?
Per purchase? Like, is it gonna get a lot of support?
I don't know.
I'd probably
Depends
go
on the
like
price.
I'd probably go like a nice $10 DLC.
Huh. So if it sold 1,000 copies, at least one of those 1,000 people would definitely do some weird stuff.
Yeah, but I'd probably deserve it.
Yeah, and you'd have 10 grand. So
yeah.
All right, you guys. I'll catch you later.
All right.
Bye.
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 Large ice, dark roast black. Yeah, that's it. Thanks. What if you ordered one of those and then just stared the cashier down and ate it like a dog in front of them, and then said thank you and left on all fours?